Hi everyone, my name is Laura and welcome to my channel. This channel is called Laura's Lipedema Legs. You guessed it, I have lipedema, and I've decided to make this channel because for years and years and years I had no idea what lipedema was. I lived with a lot of shame associated with the size of my legs, my inability to lose weight from my legs. And when I hit about 36, 37, I began to gain weight uncontrollably on my legs, like beyond anything I had ever experienced. And this sent me digging deeper. So I am pretty sure that I Googled painful fat legs growing uncontrollably. And miraculously, I found a few Facebook groups devoted to educating about lipedema. Well, they weren't necessarily educating, but they were like support groups. And so from finding out that there was a name for what I was experiencing, I began a deep dive learning and understanding everything there is to know about lipedema. As a result of gathering all of this information, I began to implement some of the recommendations and the strategies that I found as I was doing my research. The really cool thing about the pandemic was a lot of conferences have begun to be filmed. And so I actually got to watch hours and hours and hours of doctors discussing different theories on lipedema. There were like fat conferences, there were vein conferences, there were endocrinology conferences, and in all of these conferences there were different doctors who are researching, some of them weren't even doctors, researching lipedema and the way lipedema fat responds, how it's made, and potential triggers. And so, you know, here I am now, 39 years old. I have known I have lipedema now for, 2-3 years? I think it's like 2 years. And now I just want to be able to get this information out there, because when we know and understand the way lipedema works, we can begin to starve off future lipedema growth. So when I first discovered that I had lipedema, I went to my nurse practitioner and I said, "Hey, can you take a look at my legs? I think I have this thing called lipedema." And she was like, "Yes, of course." So then she took a look at my legs, did a pinch test. If you have lipedema, then you might know what this is. And she said, "Yes, you for sure have lipedema." And at that time, I just begun research. So I asked her, can I get a referral to a vascular surgeon as well as an OBGYN? Because I knew my hormones were out of whack, and I've always had varicose veins, and so I discovered that there was a link between leaky veins and venous insufficiency and lipedema. And she said, "Yes, of course." So she got me those referrals, and they were both over a year away. So in terms of seeing an OBGYN, she discussed with another doctor on the family health team, like, "Hey, I'd really like to be able to get her in to see someone sooner. Do you have any suggestions?" And so they made a referral to a fertility clinic. And so I was able to see someone who had a background in hormones within 3 weeks. So I went in and I began speaking with him, and I shared all of the information I had just discovered. I also shared that this might not be typical of every woman with lipedema, but myself, when I was pregnant, it was like my hormones regulated. And so I told him a theory that I have. I theorized that I was making an abundance of estrogen, probably perimenopause. I felt like if I added some progesterone or some way to increase my progesterone, that I might be able to combat the excess estrogen. And he kind of looked at me for a moment, and I shared some of the symptoms that I was having and how this could help. And he did a little bit of research, and he agreed, which was so wonderful because he was truly a doctor that trusted that I knew my body. And so that began my journey of discovering and finding different ways to really begin to thrive and live well. So back up, when my legs began to increase at an alarming rate, for me anyways, I gained about 40 pounds in a year. I hadn't really changed my physical activity routine or incorporated more of anything specific in my diet. I maybe was craving more sugar, maybe. And so maybe I was eating more, but I wasn't eating a significant amount more. Not 40 pounds worth more of food. And so that was sort of the catalyst to me discovering a whole world outside of what I ever knew about my body. And so, okay, so sharing a little bit about myself. So that's a little bit about my story and discovery of figuring out I have lipedema. I've since seen a vascular surgeon. I have venous insufficiency. I'm going to get that taken care of pretty shortly as well, and I'll share more of that in another video. But I'm Laura. I live at the lake. It's my favorite thing ever. I used to practice social work and counseling, and now I focus more on mindset and yoga. I'm a yoga teacher. It's something that I love, 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 love. I'm also a lover of all things design. So the way I've sort of channeled that lately is into our Airbnbs and getting creative and taking pictures and videos and, you know, figuring out colors and what looks and feels good. For those of you who might know something about human design, I am a manifesting generator, and I am multi-passionate. I have a million just different passions. My husband and I joke around often about the fact that I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. My strongest sense is outer vision. So anytime I see something, I see the beauty in it. And so, for example, even the home that we're in, when I walked in, I could instantly see the beauty it could become. And so this has been really, really fun for me in terms of redecorating and, you know, pairing different colors together. It's so fun. And I'm not even quite sure where I was going with that, but I'm trying to share a little bit about me. So I am married. I have a dog and a cat, and I have a son and a daughter, and we spend a lot of time watching soccer games and a lot of time at the beach when we can. Right now, it is very cold. It is like minus 15 here where I live at the lake. And so there is much beauty to be explored because of the frigid temperatures. And as one of my friends likes to point out, it's free cryotherapy. So I'm really trying to focus on that right now. Okay, that's a little bit about me. Again, I'm 39. I have lipedema. I have implemented a series of conservative therapies. If you're new to lipedema, I will explain that in some other videos. And I have also had surgery. So I flew to Poland in August of last year, and I had surgery with an incredible surgeon, and I am pain-free. And so I feel like an entire new chapter is opening up for me in terms of the different things that I can do. So while I was never like morbidly obese, I always had, they sometimes refer to a lipedema as the two parts disease. So it's like often your upper body looks completely different from your lower body, and so you often wouldn't know that they go together. And so now I'll share a little bit about some new experiences I've had. Now I get to experience life with a body that feels like it fits. So for example, my husband loves rock climbing, and him and I went rock climbing a couple of weeks back. And it was a completely different experience. I have so much more freedom in my body. I no longer have pain. I'm not self-conscious. And the number one thing probably is feeling empowered. Empowered that I have the information that I now have. Empowered that I feel like my body's mine and not any part of it is out of my control. And I mean that in such a way as, you know, I had pain, not only in my fat nodules, but also my joints were beginning to experience pain. And so now I feel like my body fits my mentality, if you know what I mean. I can move the way I want to move. I'm a yoga teacher, and there were certain poses I couldn't even do because of my lipedema. And so I just felt like it was time for me to start sharing this with other people. I mean, I kind of have along the way, but I was talking to a friend today, and she was just talking about how she doesn't post any pictures or even talk about her lipedema because she still feels so much shame associated with how she used to look and the things that she's experienced. And she even used the term, I almost kind of felt like I was catfishing people, because from the waist up I looked one way, and then if you met me in person, then you might not think I looked the same. But I definitely looked the same from the waist up. I just didn't from the waist down. So yeah, that made me think it's time. It's time for me to share. And so I'm so happy you're here, and I look forward to being able to learn from you, as well as to educate and share some of my story and what I've learned along the way while discovering I have lipedema. So that's it. Talk soon.